Hi, I'm Tamsin Silver, and I'm author of Falstaff Books. And I am going to be reading to you this evening a little bit from my two books that are out in the Untold Legends series. This is book one, The Curse of Billy the Kid, and I'm going to read one of my favorite scenes in it. I'm actually going to do two of them. But I'll do one on this, and if you like it, come back for another. The first one I'm going to read is actually one of the scenes that Billy does meet with the quote-unquote, the bad guy of the story. Most people really hate that I've chosen a name that's really hard to say. And I know I don't even say it correctly. I'm sure the Irish would be like, they would just be like, you're slaughtering that. So, but it's said, and I'm going to try to, Skahak. It's close. Anyway, the scene is in book one. It is the scene where Billy goes to finally meet with her. And it's from chapter 18, Hope Your Well Isn't Dry. And that is actually very poignant to this part I'm going to read. So I'm going to pick up on page 206, and here we go. And by the way, before I get started, if you hear weird noises, it's because my dog is right here chewing on a bone. So that's what's going on. All right, anyway. Page 206, The Curse of Billy the Kid. Riding into Capitan, I found the saloon Skahak had told me to meet her at and discovered not one horse tied up there. Dismounting, Colonel, I said, that can't be a good sign. Colonel turned his head toward me. No witnesses, I explained. He whinnied and pawed the ground twice. I'll be careful, but if she comes out the front before me, you get out of here fast. Go find Dick and bring him back here, you understand? He pounded the ground once. Good. With a deep breath, I crossed myself like the Catholic I've been, and I walked into the dark saloon. The only people there was an older gent behind the bar, likely the owner, and a woman with the dark hair piled high, sitting on a stool at the bar. She wore a dress of dark blue, complete with bustle, and appeared to be sipping whiskey. Sure, I'd seen her before this, but it had been dark and she'd worn her hair down. I'd been more focused on Colonel than her at the time, but now I had a moment, and I stared in disbelief at how exactly she looked like Mary Richards, my teacher from Silver City. But was she really Mary or not? That was the question. You're late, she said. Ran into a few of your idiots who held us up, I said, hands on my guns as I walked over to and around her, my eyes telling me one thing and my head telling me another. You're not the real Mary. Not in spirit, no. She was herself, though, when you first met her, if that helps. But right now, she's on vacation. The creature laughed, sounding just like the woman I'd cared for, and I gripped my guns tighter as goosebumps traveled up my arms. Go ahead, shoot me, and you can watch the real Mary die. When I didn't fire, she added, I thought not. Shall we have a drink? I'm good. Ah, yes, I've heard you're no fun anymore. She downed the rest of her drink and waved over the bartender. I'll have another whiskey, straight up, and my friend here will have a water. The man raised an eyebrow, but got to pouring the two items. Skahak pulled out a cigarette. Lighting it, she waved the match out, her hazel eyes watching me. Oh, do take your hands off those. You're not going to shoot me. And I'm probably not going to kill you. Just sit and relax. I can sit, but I won't be relaxed, I muttered as I considered the situation, deciding to do as she said. For as much as I hated to admit it, I wasn't going to shoot her. Hell, I was pretty sure I couldn't even get myself to give her a paper cut. Thus, I took a seat at the bar, and I waited. Once we had our drinks, she took a sip and looked at me the way she had when I was a child in her classroom. You're dying to ask, so ask. Why me? Because you needed direction. You were a mess. Of course I was. My mother had died. My stepfather was useless, and my brother was removed to another family. I had nothing and no one and trusted her. I saw the bond you two had, and for that, I gave you a gift. A rare one at that. I only create an immortal once a century. A gift? You call it a gift? It's a curse and you know it. She smiled. And it was both warmed my heart to see, and yet again it chilled my soul, if I still had one. Fine, curse, whatever. Either way, it's a form of checks and balances. My monsters are very powerful, and I own their souls unless you release them. Is it really killing if their soul isn't there? She asked with a lazy shrug. Then why make someone like me at all? If I didn't create a few avenging warriors, my monsters would take over the world, and that cannot happen either. It's up to men like you to challenge me, to save me from utter boredom. Wait, we're here to entertain you? This is all a big game to you? What are your monsters then, expendable? She laughed, and this time it sounded nothing like Mary I'd known. Yes, it is. And yes, they are. See, you learn quickly. I always knew that you were the smart one. I thought of Brewer, not far from where we sat, and all he'd gone through over the past month, and without using those smarts she'd just praised, I knocked the drink out of her hand. It hit the floor with a crash, glass traveling across it. The bartender didn't move, nor did she, until the tinkling of the last bit stopped moving. Once it had, faster than lightning, her hand was on the back of my neck. The pressure created as she squeezed was like nothing I'd ever known. She lifted me off the stool onto the tips of my toes. I sincerely hope your well isn't dry, she said, and broke my neck, dropping me to the ground. And that is just a few pages from chapter 18 of The Curse of Billy the Kid. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tamsin Silver.